Hello, welcome to the series about Rugby League betting review for tonight's game live on Sky. Leeds against Huddersfield. Obviously, games are usually tight between these two. Injuries are going to be a concern for both sides. Obviously, the Ablett and likes of Ablett and Maguire are still out for Leeds, whereas obviously we know sympathy off below his team. Shown with injuries, he's still got plenty. But Brough is back tonight. But then again, Jamie Ellis he has to sit out for a few weeks. He's badly injured, so it's one step forward and one step back for the Giants at the moment. Obviously, there's a 10-point start that the Giants are getting in. Like I say, that all the league games between these two sides were within 6 points last year, and it was even a draw. I mean, okay, there was a cup game at Leeds that Leeds won quite comfortably, but the games tend to be quite close between these two. There's been quite a few draws over the last few years. I mean, if pushed, I'd probably favour Leeds to win the game, but they don't really make any value for me at 2-7. I mean, obviously, again, both these sides are winless, so neither really appeals. Neither, like say, the 11-4. That is for what you get for a Huddersfield win. That doesn't appeal either. Obviously, if you do fancy Leeds strongly, you can get them 4-6 half time, full time. I'd probably prefer that to backing them -10 on the handicap, if I'm honest. But I do really think that Huddersfield can stay inside the cap on this one. Like I said, the games are normally tight. Brough's back. The weather's going to be bad, which will keep points low anyway. So Brough's kicking could be key. Could well be worth looking at a penalty being the first scoring play. I think both teams will take that option. I mean, Jordan Lilly seems to be right little kicker for Leeds at the moment, and obviously Brough will kick. He'll kick anything for Huddersfield. They'll get a chance to put any points on the board early. Both teams will, if the weather's going to be poor, like it looks like it's going to be. But I do think that'll keep points down, and I do think Huddersfield can stay inside. I think Leeds might just sneak it. I mean, they were awful last week at Widnes last week, but let's not forget Leeds. Late second half show put a bit of a gloss on a performance against Catalan. I mean, they were getting well beaten at one stage. I think it was a Catalan bomb to try, which had put them 20 odd points in front, and the game could have been anything then. So both sides need a win here, but I mean, I do think Leeds probably might just sneak it. Like I said, the last home game, the push Warrington very close. Warrington won all the games since then. So it'll be something like 1 to 5 point home win. That's kind of where these games normally end up. They're great games between these two, always worth watching. Good battles, and but yeah, just Leeds. But like I said, I think again this time we've always said it. Again last night, I mean, unfortunately we took Warrington on the handicap last night, but again Salford managed to stay inside the handicap last week. I think Ulkey had it inside the handicap against Saints last week. It's teams when the weather's bad, the scores tend to stay a bit lower, so that you're better off booking back in the plus instead of the minus on the handicap. Obviously, as you go into the summer, that changes. It's sometimes better back in the minus. I mean, first try scores. I mean, looking at Jamie Mack. I mean, last time we covered the game against Wigan, he scored the first try for us. We picked him at 12-1. He's 10-1 tonight. I don't see any reason why we'd go off him. Callum Watkins landed a brace last week in France. He's in good form, best centre in Super League for me. And he's about the same odds. So that's good value. Obviously, last night in the Warrington game, we tipped up 16-1 Chris Hill for man of the match. We're going well for man of the match. Got 5 of the last 7 in Super League. So we'll have another go tonight. Brett Ferris is a very uncomfortable favourite for me. I don't like this story. I mean, we all know why. Obviously, it's Leeds against Huddersfield. We all know why he left Huddersfield. It's not a good story. I can't see the Sky team giving him man of the match because of what happened at Huddersfield. It just doesn't bear right for me. I mean, I hope this game doesn't go into a battle with Brett Ferris. I hope it doesn't become about Brett Ferris. I don't want this game. I mean, about his rugby. He's a fantastic player. That's what we should be talking about. I'll try not to mention it, but unfortunately, with him being favourite for man of the match, you can't get around it. Brough's 8-1, which is good enough for me. I think it was like with Gale last week. Luke Gale when Castle went to Hull. At the end of the day, if Giants are to win, I mean, you can't really look any further. Brough 8-1's decent enough. I know when you look at 11-4 match win odds, it doesn't become great value, but you can't really pick up anybody else. And probably the Rhinos are probably the hardest team to pick a man of the match from, especially now Sinfield's gone. But I'll probably go for Rob Burrow. He's always nicking about, gaining extra metres over the gain line. He's hard to get down, and I think Rob Burrow just favour him over Watkins for me tonight. So it would be Rob Burrow and Danny Brough for my man of the match tonight. 3 other games in Super League, 3 decent games to be honest. Hull get a 2-point start for the visit of Wigan. Wigan have got a really good record at Hull. They've had some big wins there over the last few years. Obviously it'll be difficult tonight. Hull have started the season really well. We bubble burst a little bit against Castleford last week, but they smashed Salford on the first day of the season. They had a brilliant win in France. Wigan have won all 3 of their games, fair enough. But they were very unconvincing. I think they were lucky to beat Salford with a controversial late try last week. So, but I think Wigan could click now. This could be about the time when they just start to get a bit better. Obviously, the weather's going to be poor. I think Wigan are a good side, and they look after the ball really well in tough conditions. The 5 tackles and a kick. They manage the game really well. Matty Smith. This is what I mean. The jury's out on Matty Smith as a halfback. especially for England. But in weather like this, there's nobody better. I remember in that Challenge Cup final between the two clubs, he got the man of the match award, didn't he? So I do think I think Wigan could probably just manage this game a little bit better in the bad weather. So it'll be Wigan in that one. Castleford get an 8-point start for the trip to St Helens. I think the weather's probably turning this around a bit. I did fancy St Helens on the handicap. I'm not so sure now. I think they'll get the job done. Castleford have got a shocking record. I don't think they've actually won at Langtree Park. And they get an 8-point start. I mean, 4-11 for a home win. I mean, that is short, but it's 10-11 if you want to back it on the half-time, full-time. But I'd probably just fancy Saints to get home by more than the 8 points in this one. Like I say, Castleford, great side at home, great side at Yorkshire, but they do seem to struggle when they come over the Pennines. They've had some bad beatings at Wigan in the past in the league as well. So I think, I do think Saints will probably cover the handicap. But like I say, now the weather's got bad. It's been snowing around the northwest. I think you should be more careful with that one now. And finally, Hull KR getting a massive 16-point start for their trip to Widnes. With the weather as it is, you've got a pattern to do to stay inside. That I would imagine that line will come down. Maybe it's to inside 10 points. I mean, they've been decimated, but they put up a real show last week against St Helens. And Widnes, you don't often see a team outside any team at 7-1 to go to Widnes and win in Super League. That's a massive prize. I think Widnes will get on. They've been fantastic so far. They've been the surprise packages in Super League so far. And they've been great to watch. Scored some great tries. They absolutely smashed these last time at home. So I do think Widnes can win the game. But like I say, I fancy the plus on the handicap. I fancy Hull KR plus 16. This time of the year, you're always looking at taking the team that are getting the start. Like I say, the Hull KR were very good against St Helens, pushed them all the way. So like I said, in the top game tonight, our main Sky game, I do fancy Leeds, but only just Huddersfield on the handicap. I fancy Wigan, I fancy Saints, but I do fancy Hull KR staying inside the plus. Like I said, we'll be back next week. It's more Super League. Well, in fact, we're back with the South Sunday Treble. We landed the Sunday Treble last week. Back next week for more Super League. As always, please come and responsibly, and we'll see you later.